Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. This is a day in the office on February 9th, 2026 at approximately 3:40 p.m. PST. Now, as you well know, at least you should, I do not plan things here. I am literally just working in the office and interacting with people as I go along. The reality is, unless I keep focused, and that's what this is about. It puts me in the office for an hour to an hour and a half, focusing on literally my business, and for that matter, the career or the empire I'm looking at building. Now, let's be clear: an empire may be just the size of your house. That may be what you consider your career. In my case, I'm looking at a career at an empire as globally reaching, hopefully making a massive impact on people. The reality of it is there is a lot of work to do. Now, where am I? So right now, I am literally taking appointments, putting them in my calendar. Again, if you don't keep things organized, you're in serious trouble. And that's just the reality behind it. Now, that is February 13th. What did I do with my pen? And of course, my pen is not handy. Somewhere up here, there's another one. There we go. That'll work. Now, oh look, we literally have a few people in the room. Don't know who's in the room just yet. We're at that fluctuating point we're jumping between 7:19 and 7:20, and sooner or later we'll break that and carry on with it. Now let's see. This is February 13th. We go. And then we find the extension on it. There we go. Income tax 1230. Okay. That takes care of that one. So I don't need that anymore. That goes down there. And let's see here. We have Joanne, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And you have the goal, by the way, but I do hate to tell you this in a manner of speaking. You are not just you. There is so much more to you than what you realize just yet. However, I do like the idea of the modesty. And you are in with the gold. Jeff Garvey, you are in with the silver. How you doing? Oh, not a problem, Joanne. The reality is I lose track of people in here quite regularly. So if you're puttering around and getting things accomplished, that is, in all fairness, a fair chunk of the idea here. What is that? That was... Don't think that saved me anything. And the answer is no. So it goes down there. I did go out this morning, went out to meet because I had an appointment this morning, and sold another one of my books, the Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. It was weird. This morning started off a little rough. The appointment I was supposed to have faltered simply because of the fact that they ended up coming up ill. So that did not start my day off well. Then I got a call from a marketing company. And like I told the guy, I said, look, if he wanted to represent my books, Birth of the Wolfpack, the Yaldabaoth Chronicles. So I said, look, I'm going to save us both a whole pile of time. Because if you're asking me for money up front to help promote my books, it's not going to happen. I've already spent tens of thousands of dollars on many companies just like yours that said they were going to do it. Not a one of them produced even an inquiry. So it's not happening. You know, I said, unless you're going to come up with an idea of how to help me market my books without me paying up front, we're not going to do business. And he goes, well, you have to understand the industry. So I politely said, you are funny. And I hung up on him. I am not interested in wasting my time anymore with people claiming to be interested in doing things, because all they're looking for, in my opinion, is money for nothing. And frankly, I got no problem giving money to other people for nothing. Okay, that I don't need because it didn't save me any money. This one, on the other hand, this is the marker. And that is today on the 9th. So, we go into that one there. Go to there. And we go on the 9th. We have... There we go. And that tells me where the savings are. So, you know, I started off that way and told the guy, it's not going to happen. And this same idea, by the way, does apply to everybody. Okay? In other words, if you happen to be an individual, I am working out a contract whereby people can, if they desire to promote my books, okay, what'll end up happening because of the fact that I actually track how my finances go, or track, never mind finances, I actually track how my book sales come about. I am looking at giving for anybody, whether it's a company or an individual that is promoting my books, okay, you know, my writings or my, you know, either my writings or my consulting. For anybody that's doing that, I'm working on a contract that I will take to a lawyer and get him to make it absolutely proper. But I am working on a contract where the people that are promoting the sale of my books will end up getting the lion's share of the net profit of sales. I'll set the price, you guys do the work, do the sales, and you get to have some income as well. As far as I'm aware, I'm one of, you know, I may not be the only company, it turns out, but apparently there are some YouTubers, and some big ones, that apparently give people cash as a reference or as a payment. This is what I'm talking about doing, but I'm doing based on word of mouth, not based on people going, oh, I signed up and therefore we now have X number of viewers. I'm not overly interested in it. Okay, the book sales, absolutely, which is why I currently have 9 in print. And of course, if you go to the link at the top of the stream where it says buymeacoffee.com/Inner Voice Enterprise, Inner Voice J, okay, it will take you to the link that actually tells you, that actually lets you buy any of the books I've got there. Okay, 8 of them are in print. Okay, the 9th one I've got in print, but it's not on the stream now for it's not on the website for a PDF yet. Okay, it is available for sale, don't get me wrong. So, let me see here. I want those back on the shelf. Like I said, I have a tendency of getting everything worked out so that I can actually get ahead in this world. You know, I finally got fed up with the idea of procrastination. So now we're making headway. That's why I said I went out to this meeting today and sold another one of these. Okay. I sold another one of the Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. Okay, now. Where am I here? That's Birth of the Wolf Pack, and then we get these ones all put back where they belong. That one is Believing Finances. This is Believe in Your Success and Believe in Your Business, Follow Your Dreams. The reality is, I took one of each out with me to the meeting to see what would happen. Okay, well, it went off really well. Now, what is it? Oh, where did I put that one? I think it's right here. Nope. There it is. Bingo. Okay. Joe, how you doing? You are in with Bronze. How's it going? I know things have been a little interesting for you. Okay. So I hope things are still going well enough. Now, this is for Monday, February 23rd. Let's see what we got here. Monday. There we are. And we go here. There we are. And then we go back. Thing is, I found if I postpone updating calendars, I lose track of where I am. And this does not work well. Okay, got that. Now, where are we? So the calendar is now updated. This is a good start. I'll tell you, I was quite happy when I went in and found out when my appointment is. It's only a couple of weeks away at this point. Yeah, 9th, 19, and 4. Yeah, 11 days I get my new glasses ordered. So I'm quite happy on that end. Now, where am I? Let us take a look. Now, I do know we had 719 this morning, but let's see if we're doing very much. I'm not expecting a whole lot, so I'm not going to worry about too much of it. And what do we got here? Close that down. There we are. Oh, interesting. Okay, where am I here? Okay. Now, that can stay there. Where is the other one? Remember I said I had to go out and get some more card files? Well, that's what this boiled down to. Now I can finish off the upgrading of the Wombats. But in the meantime, we go back here and put them on the shelf. There we go. Not going to be working on them right now. I got too many other things I got to deal with. But yeah, I think that chair is wearing out. This, on the other hand, what's that, wings? Yep. Now, this I got when I was out, like I said, I sold the book. So now it's a question of making certain that I have the receipt ready to go. Should take the receipt book with me, but forgot to. February 0926. Now, what is should be right there. Young lass that is a waitress right now over at Wings where I basically live. It's the one restaurant I go to, but she is currently starting her own painting business while she's going to school. And I mean house painting. Okay, but she's right here in town, and I told her with that kind of drive, I will quite readily let people know about her. Okay. So what I'm doing is, she is starting up her own business, and her business is, what do we got? Scholar's Edge painting. She paints the outside of houses. So if you know anybody in Kelowna, absolutely pass on this young lass's name. If you need more details on it, absolutely give me a call. Drop me a line. Next time I see her, I won't see her again now until next Monday. But if you know somebody looking to get their house done, that happens to live in the Kelowna area, absolutely let her know. Okay, like I said, her name is Taya Lee Adams. She owns Scholar's Edge in Kelowna. Okay, now we have somebody here. Joe, what we got? Still looking for a job. I'm starting to read books more in the early morning when I also dream journal, and in the evening. I think if I'm not too tired. I do the same thing. Like I literally in the morning, I'll get up right at some stupid hour in the morning usually, and I'll read both. Both one article out of the 8th volume of the Nature Encyclopedia, and then I read a complete chapter out of the Book of Mormon. Understand, I'm going to complete all of them. All the books I'm starting. I just take my sweet merry time with it. Because there are times when I'm just too tired and I just don't do it. There we are. And as with any functional business, as the saying goes, the job's not done until the paperwork is finished. Okay. So that is what I am doing here. That paperwork is now finished. And what we got? Curiosity Joe. What books are you reading? If you don't mind my asking, which clearly you don't. What books are you reading? There we are. That one goes in there. Okay, I can move that off my desk. Again, like I said, I get up and down a lot because I have to be doing a lot of little odds and ends here. That goes there. Now, let's see what we're working on. Look at that. Now, I haven't done that, but I'm not going to just yet. So in this case, we put the stuff aside. Receipt book can go back where it belongs. And that takes it out of the way. Now, Gonna have to get all that set up, but for the moment, where is my list? Oh, nope, not that. Oh, I didn't put those back. Of course not. Now, again, guys, if you have a question, absolutely pop it into the chat room in all caps. That way I can find the thing. Now, what do we got? Mr. Dreamcatcher returns. Goes there. Oh, that's wrong. That's Mr. Dreamcatcher returns. This one is Mr. Dreamcatcher and Races of the World. Yo, I was thinking about it today, and I have this neat little problem. I am very good at procrastinating. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And let me see here. We have Joanna with the gold, Jeff with the silver, Joe with the bronze, and Woo, you are in with honorable mention. How you doing? I'll tell you, things are getting interesting around here. I'm finally getting things organized, but it literally boils down to having to make absolutely certain that I put things in place. That I put things in place. I'm going to have to deal with that right away before it completely disappears. 10 seconds, people. I have an interesting problem with my computer. If I don't lock the dongle in, it disconnects on me. Not a good thing, in all fairness. Do it that way, and that way I've got enough. Okay. There we go. And that should stop it from moving, which would be nice. I'll tell you, jury rigging things I've gotten very, very familiar with, although I still would prefer things to be set up solidly, so I didn't have to jury rig it. Now, pop pen away, and let's see where we're standing. That I'll just simply fold over. That way I don't have to try and figure it out. Neat little tip when you're using masking tape, packing tape, duct tape like this. You fold the tip of it over. Just, notice I've only got about a half an inch there. Don't know if you can see that. There we are. Okay. I just folded over that far so it doesn't attach to the tape itself. And that way you can find the end of it. So we worked there. And what have we got going on here? That's amazing, Well, there we go. Oh, that sounds like it ought to be entertaining. I will tell you, Joe, since you're reading that book, if you get a chance, there is a movie out called the Accountant. Okay, I will warn you, The Accountant. I'm not going to tell you the story, but just so you're aware, The Accountant is an autistic accountant. He's a phenomenally effective accountant, but he also happens to be an assassin. So understand that's the backbone of the story. I'm not telling you any more about it, but I will tell you, for me to sit through it and actually enjoy watching it with it being slow paced, it makes it, in my eyes, a good storyline. Might be well worth looking into it, watching it, especially given that you're watching that one, Joe, that you're reading that one, Joe. Cosmic, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, the reality is I am looking at all aspects of life and aiming to get and to find a common denominator. When I said I'm building an empire, I'm not cutting anybody out if I can avoid it. But the sad reality is I can only put the offer out there. Okay. And that's what I intend on doing, is simply putting the offer out. But I'm not about to tell you that somebody that's got a company is more important than somebody that doesn't. The one thing I did discover, one of the things I discovered, was the fact that when you're dealing with people, if you are running a household, you're running an empire, you're running a business. Okay. And this is something you got to realize. An empire does not mean it spans across the globe. In my case, I intend on getting that size. Okay, and according to one young lad, I believe it was Joe that pointed out, I believe it was Joe Stewart, probably a year ago now, that pointed out we're already reaching Australia, which means we're already global. Okay, so I am starting to track down exactly where things are going. Used to be easier because everybody I was dealing with would give me their physical mailing address and then tell me right there. But I just found that the cost and delays of putting things out through standard mail isn't cost effective. I mean, heck, 100 years ago they were taking the mail across the continent in 10 days. You can't even get it across the street in under a week now, if you go through the so-called postal service. Okay, which is why email is working so well. I still, mind you, am a firm believer that to coin a young lass in England, was email is still your best. Walk and say it. So we got snail mail, drop it in the post office, let them ship it out. We got email, put it in the computer and it's gone. And was email, which is slower than all of it. And you walk to whoever you're seeing that you're talking to, and you talk to them directly. Okay, this is just one of the things we have to look at. Now, before I go any further, I do have to point out, where are we? Tonight is Monday night. We will be taking a look tonight on Positive Perceptions at 8 p.m. Pacific. We will be taking a look at financial manipulation. How do you play around with your own finances to make them work? Yeah, I like the Pony Express too. I mean, I used to be afraid of horses, but I was absolutely tickled pink with the effort they put in. People today, not so much. Okay, now where did I put that? Right there. I keep things behind me on a regular basis in case you couldn't tell. So let me see. Take this. I've not dealt with that one yet. We've got to do that. We'll do that afterwards. Okay, I got a bunch of things here. But I do. Okay, let's get the office worked out. Since that is literally the big thing on my... I mean, I've been at this on and off today. Well, I got up this morning at a stupid hour. Don't even know what time, so let's find out. Kitty Cat Whack, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Let me see here. Pop that out of the way. And sleep. There we are. All the way to the bottom. And what do we got? Today was the 9th. Yeah. I was up. I got up. I slept. What was it? I slept until 2:30. Got up. Went back. Let's see. That was at 5. There we are. Oh, 5:2. Where are we here? Oh, 6:13. There we are. So yeah, I was up from. I slept. I got up at 2:30 and was up until 5, and then grabbed another hour and a half sleep. So that worked out well. The reality is I'm not checking my sleep because I'm worried I'm oversleeping anymore. Whoa. Ouch, Cosmic. Yeah. And Cosmic goes, I found a horseshoe in the farm stable, and was kicked in the rear by the horse. I gotta ask, Cosmic, were you by any chance finding a horseshoe on the foot of the horse? Just a thought. Let's see. Joe goes, and speaking of the topic autistic, I don't do it much, but I will and have been guilty of skipping my words, talking like I'm autistic, but I'm not. You know, the reality is Joe, everybody on the planet skips words periodically. Okay. The reality is I found out about this a long time ago, that according to the psychiatrist, the average person misses a word or a syllable about once every 3 seconds. Fortunately, it happens to fall usually on inconsequential word like it or if or the, or it falls in between a gap and your brain just automatically fills it in. In my case, I went through the testing, and at that time I was getting a minimum of 3 busy signals a second, meaning every second all the neurons in my brain would fire at the same time, theoretically making it impossible for me to learn. The theory had a flaw. I graduated on the honor roll. Just thought I'd ask y'all. Yeah, according to Cosmic, the horseshoe was actually on the ground when he found it. Kind of like the horse saying, "Hey, that's mine, hands off." You know, so I mean, I look at that going, well, that's one way of getting the horse's attention. What am I doing here? So yeah, the reality of it is this: I'm looking at building an empire with your guys' assistance. Okay, now, oh, I do have to add that. Nope, can't do that just yet. Where is one? There it is. Let's actually get some of that done, I think. Nope, we gotta get the office done first. Pop you over there for a minute. That's my scrap paper, which is necessary. What is this? Ah, there we go. So that is now dealt with. Did that. Oh, okay, we should really do that. And I know where to get that one. Okay, let's open that and see what we come up with. File. Open February. Let's see, it's opening February up. Now I gotta go through all that, but I want to get to the back end of it. So we go Control End. And we are now with this entire package. Take that all the way to the bottom. And we go. Copy. File. Oh, I put that on ads. That would be your best place to put it. Active documents will take that whole list of books, scroll way down here to the bottom of it. Have to take a look at all those. There we are. Paste that, and that gives us our entire list. 1, 2, what do we got? Got 2 children's, 1 reference, 2 science fiction or science fantasy, depending on who you talk to. And I've actually got 4 self-help now. But, and every one of them that is in print is in print in the physical sense. Okay. I don't have all of them in PDF yet because the last one I messed up on and didn't get transferred. So take that, save that, and that solves that problem. Now, I love this. I take a look in the chat room, and I've always had there's a lot. Think, then speak. There's a lot of chat rooms I've seen where people complain if there's cross chatter. I frankly encourage it. But that said, if you've got a question or you've got something you actually want my attention on, absolutely put it in the chat room in all caps. At least then I can find the thing. Now, what is that? Oh, okay. We will have to take a look at that. Got that book. Now, let us take a look at topics here. Because I don't remember whether they were here in A Day in the Office or over in Positive Perceptions. But as I've told you guys, if you've got a topic selection you'd like to see covered, let me know, and I will do my best to give credit for it. Now, let us take a look at how the consortium deals with FTL. There we go. Oh, that was actually on Spaced Out Radio the other day, but it was a great topic. That was Roberto. Hopefully I got the last name right. I believe I probably wrote the last name down wrong. But hopefully you guys can forgive me on that one. Oh, I do have to look at that, but let's see what we got going here. Okay. Now, go back to that. Okay. What do we got here? Friday. Frontier Friday, we have. Let's make a note of this. Go back to the start of the year and see what we dealt with. Where are we? Okay, now, go there. Nope, not that one. So go down here. We had, oh, and then Friday was Spaced Out Radio again. Oh, okay, that's what that was. Okay, Friday, that was Spaced Out Radio. Then we went to Swazian. I'm just making note of this so I can get the next one picked. That was on the 6th was Swazian. On the Sorry, that was on the 9th. Then we jump to the next Friday and we get to Udina. Then we go after the Udina on the 16th. We go down to the 23rd. Oh, that's because Swazian got moved. That's why, okay. But that's okay, it's listed. It got dealt with. Then we go to Friday. Mobian. I'm just making certain that I don't duplicate them too quickly. Now, this Friday, oh, we were on Spaced Out. So now I'm looking for that. Okay, that answered that. Now let's go back in here. And we are looking at, yeah, Jeff. What day was that? The Swazians are a reptilian race that come from a high gravity world. Okay. But we covered them, and what day was that? That particular homeworld we covered on the 23rd of January. Okay. So if you go back into the archives, they're all free, they're all on YouTube still. Okay. But if you go to Friday the 23rd, you'll find the description of the Swazian homeworld. Now, where am I? Oh, I'm looking in my book to see which one I want to do, which one I desire to do that we haven't done. So Swazians, Udina, and the Mobians are off the list now. Okay, at least for a while. But let me take a look. This is why I keep these things ready, so I can deal with them. So, let's take a look and see what we can deal with. Now, by the way, if you do have a request for a homeworld, let me know. There's a couple I won't be dealing with because the homeworld is here. Okay, the Anunnaki, for instance, are from here. This is their homeworld. Now, let us see. I'm just looking at a staggering number. Now, there's one. Okay. Let's see if anybody in the chat room has come up with an idea here. And I'm just scrolling back through it to make sure. And from what I'm looking at, the answer is no. So I think what we're going to do is let's go to that. Why don't we do that? Let's get to my chart here. And we are now on the 9th, 10th, so the 13th is Friday. And we do the Damon homeworld. This one I think you'll find fascinating, although maybe a little disturbing. But welcome to my life. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We have to look at finances and how to make them work. We've got to pick an aspect of it, that's for certain. So while I'm thinking about that, we go back here. Now, here's the thing. Where it comes to finances, I think what we'd best be doing is looking at the whole concept of bills and how to get them dealt with. Because there's some major fallacies I've found and major mistakes, many of them stupider than heck. Okay. So let us go back into here. And on Monday, on the 16th, we will do the art of effective bill payment. And Tuesday, we're going back to self-help. Okay, so let's see if there's anything on my list that actually does that. But that one, we go way down here. And we're going to take a look at UFO ships and induction, karmic versus societal law. Okay, we haven't got something there. So, I'm literally taking a look at the aspect of finances. Now, there's a lot of little odds and ends. Okay, but let's take a look at the whole concept. I think, like, we've been dealing with things. I'm going to go back over. I think that's what we'll do. Is we'll go back over. Where are we? Tuesday. There we go. On Tuesday, the 17th. Yeah, in other words, next Tuesday, we will deal with financial debt organization. And that's Monday, which is Monday. What? Oh, okay. Well, since we came up with that, I'm going to cut that out of there and go down to Monday here and paste that. We'll go back to the self-help thing because apparently we got sidetracked. So now I've got that sorted out, but I do need the self-help. So when we take a look at that, okay, looking at the ideas as to where we really have to go or where it's wise to go, where people seem to have an odd approach. So I do think in this case, like, I looked at the idea of what you're wearing. I really did look at that and looked at the concept of upgrading and then decided, I am who I am and I'm comfortable with me. So I'm going to stay that way. But there are advantages in some people's cases of dressing. And I think that's what we'll take a look at. Where are we here? No, never mind. Thinking, we'll take a look at that. Tuesday. The art of personal attire. Setting your image. Okay. And the reason I do that, I look at it this way. When we start looking at the whole thing of personal attire, I'm looking at one very simple aspect. Are you content with the way you look? Okay. If the answer is yes, then you're in good shape. If the answer is no, then frankly, it's time to change it. But we will discuss that on the 17th. Okay, so we save that. Now I can minimize that and we're good. Okay, so that takes care of that part. Now, what do we got here? Man, today is going by very quickly, isn't it? Now, this little piece here. Gotta sort that out. What the heck is that? I don't even know what the heck that was. But we'll figure that out later. For the moment, this is what it's called getting organized. And like I said, while I'm doing this, I sort things out and get them set up properly. Oh. Now, move that over onto here because I got to deal with it. But I don't have the book open right now. I don't think. But let's get this moved. Good pardon. This Zeparnik is a drink that the consortium has, and this is being moved into Races of the World second edition. Liquid crystal, empathic application. Oh, there we are. I knew there was a word for that, way to put that. Zeparnik is a liquid crystal drink. Okay, they call it C. Okay, the either asterisk is Zeparnik, Zeparnik, sorry. Okay, because Zeparnik is the actual name. But because we are talking about a drink in a bar, and in case you hadn't noticed, bear in mind I used to live in them. Okay, in case you hadn't noticed, many people in a bar cannot say multisyllabic words after they've been drinking for a while. So they called it C. It is a synthetic and empathetic amplification drink. It will make everybody around you, one person drinks it, it will start affecting everybody around you. Means nobody has to drink alone, but it also means only one person gets the hangover. Okay. Needless to say, you really ought to be looking at the idea of making certain that the guy that's doing the drinking is of good nature, because it's their emotions that get broadcast. Okay. And of course, when empathetic amplification happens, the people that are sensitive to empathy will end up responding to it. So it is a very, it's a very potent drink. But again, I will put that into the book, into the second edition of Races of the World. Like I said, we're covering a lot more information. The first edition only had 60 pages. The second edition is coming out up at over 100. I do believe I just finished everything on that list. Oh, I do desire to have that moved on here so I can look into it. We have wild ginger, stinging nettles, wild mint, and caraway. All of which I have to look into. Now, the nice part about it is while I'm making these notes, I'll get on them as soon as I'm done. I'll get on to them for tonight. I won't have all the information for tonight because I'm looking into the health aspect of what I'm doing. Okay, and I mean my personal health. But I figure I'll share it with you anyway. There we are. And that takes care of that sheet. Now, when we take a look at that, what are we at? Look at that. We are now at 437, or if you're military, 1637. And yeah, I grew up military. I'll tell you, it is so much easier for me to think in military terms and to write them down. Because in military time, it's a 4-digit reference. There is no AM or PM. There is no trying to sort out what you're referring to. You're dealing with a 4-digit number, okay, and that tells you exactly the time and the time of day or night, with no possibility of replication. Okay, that's dealt with there. Those I will have to go through. Now, this other little aspect. What are these? Check. Oh. Check notes on office table. Nice part about it is by doing this is why I say the list method works. Okay, if it can work for me, I can guarantee virtually, if you do it, it will work for you. Problem is, no tool will work if the people don't pick it up. Let us see. We go back to this just for half a second. That is Positive Perspectives, February. That is the ads. So let's see if we can find wonder why I've got that. Meet the Sazazians. Oh. Why do I have different copies? I don't know. I'll have to delete some of them. Okay. We go to open that and see where we are. What? I know we need that open. And let's go back here. Whoa. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. Woo. Woo's just telling us that everything's going well on his end, and this is what I mean by I like the sharing of this. You know, like I said, we are all connected, but Woo's telling us here that everything's going well, the kids are healthy and doing great, and that is the most important thing. Now, I talk about finances here. I'm telling you, there's a couple of other things that you really have to. But if you haven't done so already, sit down with your kids when you're dealing with your finances. Sit down with them, and I mean the day to day finances. I've been told by lots of parents, don't tell your kids about the day to day finances. They don't need the stress. Well, I'm telling you from practical experience, talk to them about it. Because if you think the stress of dealing with the finances is bad, try the stress of not knowing why mom and dad, or mom and or dad, are worried about finances and why they can't buy what you'd really like. If you keep them involved, number one, they know what's going on. You don't have that disconnect. Number two, when best to teach them? Wait till they get out of the house and have to go through the same turmoil that you went through or your parents went through. This is what's being perpetuated. So do include your kids in the finances. Teach them how to get out of it, how to get out of a mess once they get into it. Okay. Be candid with them. As a matter of fact, that is a brilliant idea. If I do say so myself. Monday, the art of effective bill payment. Let's go to the next Monday. And we will deal with this. Okay. Now, Friday, we already took a look and did the Damon. Now let's go through the next one. Pick the next one down the road. Already looked at the Damon. Now, the Dwarven, the Dwarven, or more to the point, the Kaldar race, their homeworld is Earth. But I do feel they will make an entertaining little issue. I am wondering, I'm not really wondering, I actually know. Let's take a look at this and see. If we go to meet the Kaldar. There we are. Let's take a look at them. Okay. Oh. Woo's going, Keith. What's the I do not know what NHI stands for. Okay. But Wu was asked, what's the NHI race that looks like an alligator but bipedal? Oddly enough, I just came across that. Believe that's in book 2. Oh, non-human intelligence. Okay, thank you very much for the clarification. NHI stands for non-human intelligence. Now, I don't know if I've got, because we got 15. Let's see if I can pull it up. Go to there, because I may just have the answer for you in book 2. I just have to open it. Where are we here? Race of the Worlds, Volume 2. Let me go find. Try this. Up and next. Who are those? Oh, don't have a name there. That's why. Okay, gotta go in and find that one because it's not in book 2 yet. But yeah, I wonder if I did it that way. Nope. I know, well, pretty certain. Let's go. Races of the World's Final. Open that one. I'm just doing a real quick scan. Who pray tell you? They're on. Okay. Next. Ah, there we go. Thought I'd seen them before. Where are we here? Go back here. Whoa. Um, Wu was asking, what's the NHI race that looks like an alligator but is bipedal? Okay. And the one that you're looking at is called the Sarkon. They are the parent race of the Thrazazian, the Kamalian, Thrazazian, Kamalian, and sure, pull an absolute blank. I hate when I do that. So I'm going to go back to the book I just opened. And we have notes. There we are. The Tormenon was just pulling an absolute blank. But they are the ones that basically look like an alligator, but they're bipedal. And I will tell you, they are big animals. They used to be referred to as Alpha. They are, by some people, referred to as Alpha Draconis or Drakes. Okay, but that is the answer to what you were looking for. So hopefully that helps. Now, where am I here? We are getting down to the last 10 minutes here. So again, let's take a peek and see what we did here. We are looking at, oh, that's Tuesday. Oh, I was trying to find a new one. Let's take that and pop an extra up. Where is it? There we go. Now, Friday, we were looking at the Daemon the last time. What is the new one? Oh, that's what I was going to take a look at. Not so much a homeworld, but the culture itself, just as a change of pace. Um, I'm thinking, I'll either do that or let's just see if I've got another planet that I can work with. That was the Caldar. Because I do want to stick to ones that people can, if you will, sort out. We've already dealt with them. I think that would be the best one to go to. Let's do that. And we'll start dealing with the other side of it afterwards. We will deal with the Vulcan homeworld. That ought to be entertaining. For some people, anyway. So we will deal with that. And then I've still got to deal with Friday and Saturday. Nope, Friday being Vulcan. Saturday and Sunday. Well, Sunday, let's do this issue. We'll take that topic. Why do people seem to care less and less? Okay, so we're going to move that to Sunday. Paste that in there. Got that, move that down to there. And then on Saturday, let us take a look. Why not take a look at that and give a predecessor at the same time? Take that on Saturday and we paste that there. And what we're going to look at is alien abduction and its purpose. Okay. By the way, this is just going to be a precursor of what's coming when I get to Caribou Con in September. Now, save that to make sure I don't lose it. We go to here. There we are. Now, we are coming down to the end. So, like I said, that's where we're standing right now. Now, we held a solid, and I mean, I know this changes, but we held a solid 5 people in the chat room right now. That is not something that most people would look at and go, yes, I did that. I look at it going, thank you so very much for sharing your time with me today. Really appreciate it. And, even the cross chatter is encouraged. It wasn't disruptive. It wasn't some sort of an argument going on, which is something I have to keep an eye open for. Okay. But, and with the time I was taking here, what I literally have done is worked out until I've got listed now until the 24th of February. I've got the topics covered. Okay. So that works out well. Now, I will be back tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific, okay, to discuss financial manipulation, how to make ends meet without enough money to work with. These are the same tools I personally am using in my day-to-day life. Okay, so ultimately that's what that boils down to. Okay, now, with that in mind, let us take a look back here. We save that. And then we go to here. And I look at it and go, okay, now, we are winding things down. Okay, I'm in the last few minutes here. So I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us today. Really appreciate it. Again, if you go to the top of the chat room, okay, you'll find a link to buymeacoffee.com/InnerVoiceJ. Okay, and that will get you to every one of the books that I've written. Okay, they're all online in PDF and physical form. And I am just filling this in here. So, with that in mind, I will talk to you again in the very near future. Really look forward to seeing you again. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.